Hello and welcome. It is time for day 3. The halfway point is nearly here for Game of the Year 2024 from GodisaGeek. My name's Adam Cook. I'm here with Chris Hyde.
Yeah.
Lyle Pendle.
No, he took me by surprise.
I love it that I've broken him.
Incredibly high pitch then, Lyle. That was
spectacular.
I didn't think a man had that pitch in his throat.
I've got range. I've got range.
All it takes is a fat man boogieing.
And then I'm done. That's it.
Yeah.
The voice you heard there, also Mick Fraser as well. Welcome everybody. We're here. Like I say, we'll be at the halfway point soon. Today we're talking best multiplayer and best new character, which means that today at some point we will get maybe a little, just a touch spoilery when we get to best new character. But first of all, it's best new multiplayer, and I shouldn't think there'll be any spoilers there. As is always the case, let's have a guess, lads. What was in the top 5 for best multiplayer in 2023? Anyone?
We'll not see a fucking stars this time.
No, that could be this year, because they've added it this year.
Oh,
yeah,
on the list. Let's go.
Missed the DLC boat, didn't it?
Year?
Oh, Mick, surely this is an easy one. Home run for you.
Year. What?
Last year, I've drawn a blank.
Come on, mate, think about it. There's been DLC for it this year.
Did Street Fighter go on it at some point?
That got number 2. Mick, it's a shooter.
Yes.
Third-person shooter with 3 pieces of DLC. It's a sequel.
Remnant 2.
Thank
Remnant
you.
2. Of course.
I was trying to think, was that last year or the year before?
Lords of the
Remnant
Fallen
2,
was 3rd. Baldur's Gate 3 was 4th. And WarioWare Move It as 5. I'm getting the feeling that there was a lot of love for maybe 2 or 3 of them games, and the rest we might have in the touch.
Hey, don't spoil what the rest of this category's going to be.
Fair. Best multiplayer for this year, then. Here's the list. Tekken 8, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, Helldivers 2, Lightyear Frontier, Foundry, Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble, Nintendo World Championships NES Edition, Super Mario Party Jamboree, Space Marine 2, UFO 50, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, EA FC 25, Satisfactory. Not a huge list. Probably the smallest list we've got.
I think so.
Can I follow a trend and lay Call of Duty straight on the sacrificial altar as being the same as it is
I
every
think that
year?
one, this is the year that it is on the list.
Yeah.
I haven't played it.
But having that cut before some of this tripe, let's get. Come on. Right.
Well, we've cut it almost first every other.
But this is good this year, isn't it?
I play it for the multiplayer. Jog on.
But don't you do that isn't it the same every year?
Yeah,
what do they do
he
different
does
this
do
year?
He does do that.
There's guns.
Oh, okay. That's different then. Brilliant.
Number 1, lock it.
Actually, I will say, if we're talking about Call of Duty, because I brought it up, the zombies mode has gone back to basics in a really good way this year.
Which is multiplayer.
Which I will say is...
We have a list of 13 here. We have a list of 13, and there are 2 that, unfortunately, I have to bring up to everyone's attention. We do have to cut on a technicality.
Okay. Oh, yes.
There are 2 games right next to each other on the list that are not out yet. They are early access titles. And they are Lightyear Frontier and Foundry. Now, I love those games.
When you are fully released, then you can come back.
Foundry specifically is very similar to Satisfactory, but slightly more streamlined, and I fucking love it. And probably one of the games I put a high amount of hours into this year. Lightyear Frontier, I adore. But I thought
Foundry was better.
Lightyear Frontier felt more early access.
Lightyear Frontier was funnier when you fell over your mech.
Yeah, they've added so much to that. They've even added like a third-person 3-wheel thing where you can zoom around the map now to be quicker. They've made it so you can fast travel back to your base once a day.
That's good.
Yeah, they've added a lot, but they are both early access, and that is.
They'll be back next year. They'll be back in 2025,
which straight away puts us down to 11. So
easy this.
Piss.
Piss
easy.
I'm going to get rid of one because I think I'm the only person who would have played it multiplayer and I didn't, and that's UFO 50. Because you can play some of those games multiplayer, and I never did, but you can. It's an option. Did you play any of it multiplayer?
If you didn't play a game multiplayer, no one played it.
Okay.
I did, but not in necessarily the way intended.
Okay.
2 controllers.
No, so there's a couple of them.
You cut your TV in 2.
No, there's a couple. There's a couple.
Chainsaw
of them.
Down the middle.
Yeah, delete it. No, there's a couple. There's a couple that Steve Chambers and I played but as a score attack thing.
Yeah.
So where there was a more single player, it was one that was available as multiplayer, but we weren't in the same room. So like we would hit a score, send each other pictures of the score, and compete with each other. And I will say, that's quite special because you don't get that much.
Yeah.
It's old school, isn't it? It's like,
that's what I mean. Like, it's telling your mate you've got to level whatever.
That's exciting.
Yeah, we were. It was like screenshots. And I'll tell you what, and I've been saving this a little bit. He sent me his score, and I looked at it, and I'll be honest with you, I looked at it and went, that's fucking dog shit. I could have a right laugh here, okay? So I went to the game, and I beat it, and I took a photo. Then I beat my score, took a photo, beat that, and I did that about 6 times. So every time he sent one back, I already beaten it. So I basically, I sent him that picture, and he sent one back and goes, well, that's a good score. And I was like, internally, I'm going, it's not at all, mate. You just wait till I get to picture 6. So he'd send me, like, the next day, he'd send me a picture, and I'd just go, yep, beat it. Like within about a minute. So it's almost like he.
Every time it was just a minute after he'd said this.
I was deliberately, and I did admit it in the end because I felt like such a bastard. I was like, I'm just going to tell him. I said, Steve, look, honestly, I'll just send you this one. This one's my best one. Okay, let's not mess around. I've been messing around a bit. So the next day he comes back. It wasn't my best one. It was the second best one.
Oh, yes.
Keep it on the list. I like it. Like a story.
In all seriousness, it did take me back a bit to like when we were
best
kids.
Moment.
Because we weren't in the same room, but we kind of were mentally. You know, we were like passing the controller.
He was we were sort of social experiment.
It was funny. I was even telling my wife. I was telling my wife, and she was just looking at me going, I don't really know what you're talking about there, but I've got to tell someone. I can't just do this. Anyway, point being,
the dog won't understand.
The dog won't understand. The kids will just think I'm even more lame. But it was that throwback to, like, you know what I mean? That game inspires that kind of level of competitiveness when if you want it to, you don't have to engage in it at all.
And then the fact alongside that as well that there are actually like genuine 2-player games in there where if you just
that's
have
what
2
made it so much
controllers,
funnier to me, Lyle. The game I was doing that on.
You chose to not play 2-player games with him.
No, I think you have to be local. I don't think it's got on.
Oh, is it just local?
Yeah, but it's just one of those things where it's like it didn't have to be in a weird retro collection, and it's just a thing where like it's not like a you set it up thing. You quickly like you're just on the menu of this like NES style game.
I played Mortal. I played Mortal in my local multiplayer, hand in the controller. The one where you can be like a.
I feel like it's a low bar if we're just discovering we did play it once multiplayer.
Yeah, but what I would say is I had an awful lot of fun with it.
Category.
I had an awful lot of fun with it in multiplayer.
Yeah.
Maybe not as much as some of the others.
So definitely not so much that you forgot you did it.
Well, I didn't forget. I've probably still got one of the pictures. I don't know.
I don't know. I thought that was quite a funny tale. I'm okay shelving this one for now.
I'd sooner cut. There's a lot I'd sooner cut than that. I think it's a really
keep it for now. Then shelve it. There's a few we haven't. There's a lot on here that I didn't even know what they are. To be perfectly honest. So.
Yeah, what is this Spacimarine to? Don't know. No, that was
no, but I mean like Nintendo World Championships. I don't know what that is. I didn't play that. I didn't.
I'm really torn on that. Really torn on that because there's a few things they could have added to that would have made it like almost a number 1 spot. Like if they had friend leaderboards and shit, that could have been a number 1 spot. But they don't, and the multiplayer feels very much separate, segregated. If they'd made that whole pack, I love that game by the way, so it's not like me shitting on the game. But if they made it feel a whole, more like a whole, instead of like say like a Call of Duty where you can download the single player, the multiplayer, or the zombies. It feels segregated in a way that I think it's a bit of a shame they didn't just. Like, for me, it's almost a 10 out of 10 game if they nail that stuff. Like it's
and they really didn't do. It wasn't made in a way that was like modern multiplayer. No. Integration even slightly realistically. It was fun to play, but like I had just as much fun playing that game just trying to get like the gold trophies in the single player version of it than I did like multiplayer, and I spent a lot more time doing that. So.
And that's my issue with why I would maybe delete it, because I think of it more of as a single player game than
I think that's probably fair.
I mean, I played it with the kids. I played it at events at Nintendo events, and like I did play the online of it for review.
It's just one of those games I'm glad exists, but in a few ways of its implementation, I do think for best multi. I mean, it's definitely not making a top 5. I don't think by that logic, which is a shame because it's really cool.
Yeah, it's not, is it? It's just not. It's just you're right.
I don't
it's
think
not.
so.
It's
No.
not. Chris, did you play it at all?
No.
Oh, bollocks. Yeah, it's gone, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Shane,
can I ask a question?
And with that, I have managed to make it so that Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble is in the top 10 multiplayer.
Can I ask a
games
question
of
if
the year.
anyone's played the multiplayer of Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble?
I have, yes.
Oh, okay.
I have that high bar that we have.
Don't get me wrong. I love playing. I will play Monkey Ball multiplayer with my friends once a year when we go away and like rent a house for a weekend, and we will love it. But that again was quite a low bar of like.
So Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble. I joke that it was funny to get it in the top 10, but I actually did really enjoy playing this multiplayer. It's like essentially like a battle royal mode, essentially, where you'll like play different game modes, and then the bottom people will, it's like a mass multiplayer thing. It's not battle royal. It's like a mass multiplayer thing where like there'll be way more people than you'd expect playing at once, and like races or like these score attack things, and like it's a lot of fun. It's actually implemented very well. The only issue is that on the Switch, playing with many people in Monkey Ball makes the whole game slow down
very bad.
Quite badly. And if it had been done in a way that was really good and maybe had a few extra bells and whistles that made you want to like keep playing it, etc., I think it could be really good, because I played a lot more of it than I expected.
If it had done more, it'd have got into the top 9.
It would have got into the top 9, but as it stands, it's the performance of the online.
And it's only on Switch, isn't it?
It's only on Switch.
Oh, then that's...
There's not a way you can avoid that.
I suspect it may come somewhere else, but
maybe, yeah.
It
if it does, it would be better. Yeah.
Delete. Sorry, that was a really viciously heavy delete on the keyboard.
It was.
That
you
probably
really
led to the mic, but
how bestest is Tekken 8? Because
I was going to ask this question
not
next.
played Tekken since Tekken 2, I think. So
we've hit the first one that's on Chris White's list.
Oh,
okay.
Have anybody else played? You've played it, Adam?
No.
I've not played the multiplayer.
Right, so
I've not played it, so I've not played the multiplayer, so I can't talk to it. I was going to ask.
I should have played this. I just haven't, because it's like fighting games went away in a lot of ways. They never went away, but they definitely were on the down under.
Yeah.
On the down low, I mean. Then they come back, and Street Fighter 6 is like the one for me. Like, I fucking love that game. If I wasn't playing that for some reason, if I wanted to play a different fighting game, I'd probably go Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Tekken I've not been into since like early PlayStation years, I suppose. I just can't speak to it. Like I played Tekken 7, and that was 4 or 5 years ago, and it was a very, very good video game, but it just didn't get me. Like it just didn't get me, and so I haven't got round to Tekken 8.
Where is Tekken 8?
It's also one of those things where
list?
Where is it on his list?
Fourth.
5? Fourth. Because I wonder how many multiplayer games he played, and if he just had to fill out a list of 5. And I'm not knocking that.
I'll tell you now, his list of 5 would fucking rock you all to the core, especially number 5 and number 2. I think. But I'm not going to name. His list it's a solid list, man. But I don't think Tekken 8 can be in this top 5.
I don't think so. Not without him doing an epic monologue about it.
I don't think we can keep it.
No.
Yeah, and with 4 of us haven't really even indulged. You know what I mean? And it's right there if we wanted to. I just think.
Okay. So I wanted to play Super Mario Party Jamboree and haven't got round to it yet. And
these two have.
I have.
Yeah, I know you have. And I tell you what, Lyle,
shit at it.
I tell you what, they didn't stop fucking moaning the whole time we played.
Oh, mate, come on. At the very start of the game, right? At the very start, the first time you play it, there's an unskippable, slowest ever introduction.
It did take the piss a touch.
Yeah.
Right. No, I'm sorry. You two both have young children. What is the biggest bit of advice you would give to someone ahead of giving a young child a new console or something, for example?
My kids skip every cutscene regardless, so...
I'm blaming the host. I think the host should have booted it up and had a quick play and just made sure
I'm thinking the guy that reviewed it should have given me a fucking heads up. That'd have been fucking useful.
Yeah,
Not just
I didn't know what I'd started here.
This
I
fact
should
To be
player-
fair, Lyle, to be
yes,
fair,
there'd be some absolute tripe at the start of
Chris's
this.
opinion may be coloured by the fact that he was shit at it.
Mate,
I thought he
That's
won. Didn't we
fair.
agree that he won? The game
We did in
never
the end
finished.
because he
You
was the
agreed
host and he
that
might
he
not have let us leave.
Well, we ran out of time because even on the lowest,
No, he would have
turns,
deadbolted
it
the
takes
door
6
and that would have
hours
been
to
it.
play a game.
Yeah, like 4 human people is like a 90-minute even on the low. But this is not new information.
No,
It just
that
means that
is
it's not
Mario
it's not-
Party.
No, listen, my
Yeah,
daughter
I
loves
know.
this, so it's
I was going to
difficult,
ask if that was kind of the reason as well. I felt you were distracted because she wanted to play, and you were like, being stern, Chris, like you will
we
not
were away.
join
We were
my
away
friends.
for the weekend, just gone, and we took the Switch and thinking everyone's going to want to play Mario Kart. And most of the other kids did want to play Mario Kart, and she kept commandeering, going, "But can I just show you this Mario Party?"
Good on her.
So she loves it. But
From what little I
it's not on the
played,
pod.
it was quite fun.
I think it's probably the best Mario Party. The question is whether the best Mario Party makes our top 5 this year.
Yeah, that's the thing. I agree with that. I mean, everything you were saying about
I mean,
it.
you probably haven't had a chance to play the other modes, like
No.
the new ones, like the Bowser, Kaboom Squad, and the Koopathon, which I do really like the Koopathon. I think that's a smart idea because what we played was traditional Mario Party.
Yeah,
Like,
it was,
the
yeah.
board game where you go around. There are so many modes this year where they've actually someone said to them, look, the people who like Mario Party are going to like Mario Party no matter what you do in terms of boards, in terms of mini games. What you need to do to sell this game is to stick something in there for the people who just want to pick it up and have a quick bash. That's now there, like in Koopathon and stuff like that, or the mini games where you just play mini games. But if you haven't had a chance to play it, I think it's the best Mario Party, and I just like Mario Party, and I know lots of people don't, and I'm not here to say like, oh, well, it's a top 3. There's games.
It's not
like
a game
Sudoku.
I would. Yeah, it's not a game I would go to because it's not my sort of thing. But I did have fun when we played it.
Well, that's nice. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Despite the bad hosting.
I didn't think they'd be
Yeah,
hosting.
given that I've been slagged off for hosting, I feel conflicted emotionally right now.
No. Honestly, I take that back. You are correct. It's my responsibility as the guest to have told you. You probably want to play the cutscene.
The person that said, install this, please, because I want to play it, probably should have followed up with, oh, and by the way, yeah.
I believe that was Steve, but I'm not getting into that.
No, you told me to download Mario Party and the
But
NES
I'd been
one.
told by Steve, is what I'm saying.
Well, I didn't know that because I'm not psychic.
Nor did he. But
Which
he
is
did
why
do
I
it.
didn't know there was an introduction.
No, he doesn't know he told me to do that, but he did, and he's not here to say
Right,
he didn't.
okay.
So
That seems
What a
fair.
cunt.
He is a prick.
yeah.
And dumb as well because he couldn't figure out that best time thing was coming a minute after every time.
Fucking Steve.
Oh.
Good hair,
Right.
though.
Oh, great hair. Fantastic.
Great hair.
That's got
Can I-
one redeeming quality, doesn't it?
Can I just suggest something I think is an easy cut at this stage? Because
Okay.
literally,
UFO 50.
I was going to say EFC, but
I think both of those, based on what we've said.
I added EAFC 25 to this because I think the addition of Rush is really good this year. And it changes the options of playing online because fucking Volta's shit.
yeah,
right?
no one likes
So-
it, and they won't admit it. They just won't accept
No, they
it.
keep. So I like the fact that there's actually like a football
good-
sim
yeah.
kind of version of FIFA Street, but not FIFA Street. It's sim FIFA Street, if you like, where you can just the games are much quicker. There's much more interesting. If you still want to play a game of football, game of pro, whatever, fine. But we like playing Rush and picking it up and playing it and bashing through games, and it doesn't take too long. So I really
counter
like that because when you actually say, you said about Call of Duty, what have they actually done differently? Well, I can tell you what they've done differently on AFC 25 because they've literally had this cool new multiplayer mode that I play a load of and I really enjoy. And I think it's executed really well, apart from the fucking commentary, which can get in the bin because there's a couple of Americans that don't know what football is.
I would counter what you've said there by saying I don't disagree, but I do think it is the most buggy FIFA I've played in this generations. It's not that mode specifically, but as a general game, like it is so buggy, and it is like it's weirdly almost unacceptably buggy, given like that it's not the days where it was just like new roster, haha, new game. It's not that. That's not fair. They don't do that.
No.
But like, given that they have an engine or a base they probably build from each year,
Yeah.
it's quite shocking. Like there are straight up like text bugs everywhere that they are getting better at. They're like, they build FIFA around like the online store and stuff. Ultimate Team's a massively important thing to EA. We all know this, but like it's buggy. Even the store and stuff is like, I don't know. I just don't know if it's the best experience in terms of like a online connected game. I get the mode stuff's fine.
Yeah, like I say, I'm not gonna. I almost think it comes off because like no one else cares about it apart from me. But I do play the multi.
But I'm kind of annoyed by it, like because like in so many ways, this should have been a year where it's like everyone's so happy. Like you said, Rush is so cool. The second I played it, I said to like my kids who play, lots of FIFA, FC. Sorry. This is going to be a big deal. People are going to play the shit out of this because it's not Volta. It's actually good. Yeah. But I just found...
Rush isn't that buggy. Aside from the only thing I notice is that the stats that appear are not correct. But other than that, it doesn't... But like it is a shame. But I guess my thing here is like I actually play EAFC 25 and Call of Duty Black Ops 6 multiplayer all the time. And yet there's games on this list that like UFO 50 where we're not playing them as multiplayer, so why are they staying?
I'm fine cutting UFO 50 at this point. I think we can't really. It's not the focus of the game. It's just a nice little option.
I played Call of Duty and EAFC 25 multiplayer last night. That's so like it's like I'm not saying therefore it's the best, but in terms of our list of multiplayers, it does feel
you
like
actually play it, whereas we don't. Play
exactly.
UFO 50 has to go. It's fine. I also think
I was really hoping it'd beat something stupid. Never mind. I mean, it got 8. Pretty good. That's not good job, UFO 50.
I think we sort of have to drop Grand Blue Fantasy Relink.
I enjoyed what we played, but I mean, Monster Hunter, it ain't right, and I think it's all right. But I'm not at no point. I think it was a little confusing when we first started it. But once you get it, I think it's okay. But I think it's just one of those experiences where you're never going to be comparing it to anything in a positive way because it feels like a little bit of a light exploration co-op thing or doing a level together. It's a very light Monster Hunter equivalent, and so therefore it's fine. We enjoyed what we did, but it's not. It's not Monster Hunter, is it?
No, man, I also think they kind of dropped the ball by the fact you can't do the story missions together.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like then you're
they
just
sort of
doing
gatekeep what you can.
You're doing
play
the side
multiplayer
quests,
on,
and then when you finish everything, you can come back, and it's more like, oh, it is Monster Hunter now. But like that's a lot of hoops to jump through to just play with your mates.
It was very We like I say, it should be intuitive, and we were like, hang on, what can we do, and how do we?
I think I asked you why can't we do the story missions?
Yeah.
And I thought I even googled it. I think at the time, going like, no, we're doing something wrong here.
Yeah,
because that makes no sense, and you can't.
Yeah, no, I don't feel passionate enough about it. I enjoyed it. It's not the best example of multiplayer this year.
What we've got left here then is 6 of them, and they are
one left to cut.
Helldivers, Super Mario Party Jamboree, Space Marine, Warhammer 40k, Space Marine 2, I should say, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, EAFC, and Satisfactory.
Do we need to talk about the conveyor belt in the room?
I don't think we can cut that.
I don't think we talk about it until like we're putting it somewhere high up because you won't stop talking about conveyor belts and that,
I also played that yesterday online.
Would it surprise you to tell if I told you, Chris Hyde, that although there are 4 of us on this podcast, this is very much a 5-person deal. We've made sure of that. I happen to know someone who it's on their top 5 that isn't you or me.
So Chris White, I imagine, right?
It is Chris White. It is Chris White's
that would have
5.
been a really weird way of telling me if it was Lyle or Mick.
Yeah.
It's Chris White's number 5.
Ah, wicked. I kind of want to. I think we're at the point now where I want to hear Chris White's top 5 because I feel like it's
go on.
Wild.
Right, fine. Here's for top 5: Satisfactory, Tekken 8, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, Space Marine 2, and Helldivers 2.
Okay.
Yeah, his top 2 is the same as my top 2.
I have a problem with Satisfactory, and you know what it is, Chris Hyde. You know what the problem with this in this category is.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't played it multiplayer this year.
Well, I have.
No, you and I haven't. This was our game.
Yes.
I don't even remember who introduced who to this game or why.
No.
I think I introduced you to it, but I don't remember why. I don't even remember why I wanted to play it. So maybe it was the other way around. I don't know. I love Satisfactory. There's no shock there. Mm-hmm. You know, I reviewed the 1.0 release this year. Gave it a 10, I'm pretty sure. Love it. Love this game to bits. Think it's the pinnacle of that genre. I think it's so good. I really liked Foundry, and I think Foundry could challenge it when it's finished, because I think it does make some things easier and it's less technical. Yeah. But Satisfactory's it's magic, and the multiplayer's great. Like this
is the thing. It's literally like, it's not like Granblue where like anything's sort of cut off. You can literally just jump into anyone's world. Joining people is dead easy. Like it's just it's like the same solo experience just with more people. And that sounds stupid, but it is that seamless in the sense of what it does. And you gave it a 10. Like it's hard for me because we haven't played it together this year, and that's where the conversation comes, because it's been in early access for 5 years, but it released this year, and it's a damn good game and a damn good multiplayer. So it's like, this is why I said we need to talk about the conveyor in the room, because we need to agree what the rules are on it.
I think given the site and our history with Satisfactory, that having it any other than 8, I think it's 5th, and I think it sits at 5th and it stays at 5th, and that's a compromise we can all make and accept the reasons behind it, right? I just don't think it can go any higher than that. It's just you, me, and Chris why. I don't really know his feelings on it. I don't even know if he's put it there because he feels that as a site, it should be in the 5, if that makes sense. I don't know. But I do feel it should be 5, and that's it. Like,
I mean, if you want, I'll put it at 3 because I don't mind. Does that help? Does this help?
I mean, I guess for me, me personally, I'd be like, I'm fine with that. But then I'd feel conflicted if something like Super Mario Party Jamboree goes above it.
Well, let me ask you a question then, because you have commented the most, I think, on these games. Is what would you rather not have in the top 5?
Yeah.
Call of Duty, EAFC, Satisfactory, or Mario Party? And I think
Mario
I know
Party.
I know the answer is Mario Party, because there's no way. And Lyle and Mick, this is your chance to speak up on this subject as well. Obviously, I do not see a list of 5 games that do not include Space Marine and Helldivers. So that leaves 3.
That
so one of those 4 I've mentioned has to go, right?
Yeah.
Agreed. I mean, I think there's a lot of them I haven't played, and I think that Mario Party would be the one I enjoyed most of the ones I haven't played, but it's not that helpful because I haven't played any of them, and because, a lot of them really aren't my sort of game. Like, I've played thousands of hours of Fortnite this year, so I don't need to play another shooty game like Call of Duty. I don't like football, so sorry for that game. But,
But equally, Satisfactory just feels bad that it would mean it would never be in any of our lists ever, because we never included it when it was early access.
I'll be honest. Like, I'm looking at these 6 games, and this is on the assumption that we do cut Super Mario Party, and listening to what everyone else has said, I do think Satisfactory is at 3 based on what everyone else has said about these other games.
No, that's fine.
Because I think...
Well, I've never played it, but I mean, I'm not...
I think where I would... Because I think we need to talk about the others that we haven't talked about, but based on what we've said about EAFC and Call of Duty, I'd probably say that EAFC, because of the issues that you have with it in terms of like the missed opportunity, goes below Call of Duty. And then there's 3 people who like Satisfactory. So why is that not 3? And then we need to talk about, I think, Space Marine 2 and Helldivers.
I think you've got it bang on.
Are we cutting Jamboree?
I think so. It seems like the temperature of the room. Right.
I'm putting a lot of faith here in the fact that both you, actually, and Chris, Mick, Adam, and Chris loved Space Marine 2. So I'm assuming I would have loved it too if I'd had a time machine.
Yeah.
You would.
So
I think Call of Duty, I just want to mention that I think it is also worth saying they could have just continued down the route they were going, where people were a bit unhappy with the series. I do think Black Ops 6 seems to be the most positive I've heard people about that.
They did a really good job bringing some things back under control with Black Ops 6.
Because there was a lot. Listen, we haven't actually talked about it. Last year. I forget the bloody name of the game, but the campaign was shite, and the multiplayer was like, all right, it's just another.
The campaign was barely a campaign; it was like
and the multiplayer was like it's a multiplayer. Like,
and
whereas
Zombies
this year,
was a mess.
my vibe is the multiplayer's much improved, and the campaign, from what I hear, is
better.
Really improved. So I think they've done a good job where they could rest on the laurels and know no matter how much shit they shovel, it will still get bought by billions of people, and actually made a better game. So I think that's definitely I
just find it funny that Black Ops is now the Call of Duty to watch as opposed to
well, I think they just went to.
I've always preferred Black Ops, but yeah, I think
a lot of people went as far as they could go with Modern Warfare. Like they went as far as they could go, and then they tried to make Infinite Warfare, which was future Modern Warfare.
More modern than modern.
Then they remade half the Modern Warfare.
Yeah, they did.
And I think they've kind of gone as far as they can go with Modern Warfare and like Black Ops. I'm
the Black Ops storyline's catching up to the Modern Warfare storyline now.
Black Ops 6, I sort of go to myself, I only remember the first 3 or 4 maybe, but yeah. So we've got that. We've got EFC. We've got Satisfactory.
Yeah.
It can't be anything other than Helldivers at number 1.
Right. As far as I know, there is only one game on this list that we have all played together.
Yes.
And that is.
And can I say a game we've all fucking loved playing together because it was a fucking laugh. Yes, there's a conversation which we've had in previous days where like the updates and shit have shut the bed a little bit.
No.
But
our experience.
We could play that tonight and it'd still be fun.
We'd have a laugh. We'd have a fun time.
I will say that if we were to jump into Space Marine 2, like you said, you would enjoy it, right? You would enjoy it. I
Space
do
Marine
believe
2, I don't want to do that thing where we reduce something to a buzzwords, but Space Marine 2 is Gears of War, but Warhammer.
It's very much like Gears of War. I think the multiplayer is better in terms of because there's like a deathmatch mode, which feels like more like Gears of War's like team deathmatch mode, right? But the actual multiplayer, the meat of the multiplayer in Space Marine 2 is the co-op stuff, which is what you and you, this is what we would play. If we played it together, we would play the co-op stuff. We wouldn't play the deathmatch stuff. I think we would do the missions together in co-op. The difference is there's not as much. Like Helldivers 2 has the capacity to very easily go from we're all just running along to somebody activated a hell accidentally and we're all going to die. And I think so. In terms of like quality wise, Space Marine 2, if we played it, it's fantastic. The multiplayer is really good. It had some issues at the beginning. They fixed a lot of stuff. Helldivers 2 though is just.
I think as well. What sometimes you go, okay, the game design of the multiplayer makes it great, but sometimes it just gives you
it's a sandbox.
To have so much fun and experience in, and that's what that game just does.
And they haven't lost that. Like they've done a lot of updates, they've done a lot of changes, they've done a lot of balancing, they've overbalanced, they've underbalanced. The actual gameplay, if we jumped into it now and played it now, we would still have the same amount of fun. It would still be just as much. It's just a great multiplayer game. It really is.
And we even got people from Discord patrons playing it and having a laugh with them. Like I just think like there's no other game.
I think even Lyle enjoyed it, didn't he?
I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah.
No, I don't mean that in a negative way. You know, Lyle was the one who said, like, I've played Fortnite, so I don't need another shooting game. But even based off of that, he's still really.
I would play more of that.
Yeah,
yes, that's the.
And I think that's the
shooting
point.
game
We all want to play it.
Of.
If we said, you know what, we've all got a night free, which would be a fine thing, but like we're all available. Let's just play some Helldivers. We all would. Yeah. And I just think there's only one winner in this for me.
And even Mr. White's not here, and it's there on his list at number 1. It's
so we'll say it's
pretty
for
unanimous, I'd say.
Yeah, it's for him. Good job, Chris.
I'm happy with that.
It is number 1 on his list. Yeah, like his number 1 and 2 are the same as this number 1 and 2, so he'll be very happy.
He's doing well.
So
he's still better than me, and he's not fucking here.
I'll make it official. In 5th place for best multiplayer, EAFC 25. In 4th place, Call of Duty Black Ops 6. 3rd place, Satisfactory. In 2nd place, Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. In 1st place, and best multiplayer of 2024, Helldivers 2. Congratulations to Helldivers 2. There we go. We've done it. That's the first category of day 2, so we have to move on. And here we are, the last part of day 3, and we are now at the halfway point. You can check that off on your list, although maybe not, because some of the days are going to be long ones because there's a lot to talk about. But we are now into best new character category. So Spoilers, potentially. Last year, it's an obvious one. Who won best character? New character.
Oh, the fucking one-eyed dude.
Carl. Was he called
Thank
that?
you,
Yeah.
We also... It was
fucking one-eyed dude.
But he is, isn't he?
It was a packed category because in second and third we had Baldur's Gate 3 characters Karlach and Asterion, and in fourth and fifth was Octopath Traveler 2, Patricio and Casti. So it was fairly... What will we get this year? Right, best new character for 2024. Tomizawa from Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Also from that game, Chitozi and Yamai. From Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden, Red McWraith, Antea Duarte. From the Thaumaturge, Viktor Shulsky. From Star Wars Outlaws, Kves and Nyx, separate entries. The Plucky Squire from the Plucky Squire. Beyond Galaxy Land, Boom Boom. Heismay from Metaphori Fantasio. Kaz from Still Wakes the Deep, and then Veilguard, 3 entries, Lucanis, Manfred, and Emric. Have at that, then. Have at it. Have at it. Right at it.
Right. Quickest cut ever. The Plucky Squire's barely a fucking character.
He's very much an avatar.
He is. He's just... He looks quite, nicely designed, I suppose. He's quite cute and well-drawn. Yeah? But he's not the best new character.
Yeah. I can't muster a huge amount of passion for him, if I'm honest with you.
No. So get him out of
here.
Get out of here.
It's a strange one because I think it was really weird, that game, because I feel like we saw a lot less of it than we thought we'd seen. If that makes sense. Like, it never had a release date and they kept doing trailer after trailer. I feel like we thought we'd seen loads of it, and then when you play it, you realise we've kind of seen nothing. And I remember when I first played it, and there's his friends, the 2 friends that go with him on the journey that I can't remember the name of. I don't remember ever seeing them in the pre-release stuff, and it just was there. Yeah. They were It's really weird to me that game it did come out, but it kind of just came and went.
It did just come and went.
It was it was one of our most anticipated.
I'm pretty sure, but it might have even been 2 years long that it was on most anticipated. It was definitely there last year, Lyle, wasn't it? It was definitely
It was definitely there last year. And
but for best character, that's a cut, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a cut. We can also very easily, I think, cut Nyx from Star Wars out.
Yeah, I was just going to say Nyx can get cut. That's just
like the standard. Are they just going to do this all the time now? With Star Wars
every single time.
Every Star Wars game going to have a little... Cause
I think that's what Grogu started out as, and then they just developed it a little bit.
I'm sure I've seen a poster for whatever their new Star Wars series is, and it definitely has a little thing on it.
Yeah,
but I mean, in the games, because what's the one from Star Wars Jedi?
BB-8.
BB-8.
Yeah.
No, not BB-8. That's
the other one.
No, that's the Force.
Yeah, BD9.
BD bollocks.
BD something.
No.
BD buck.
Yeah, basically, yeah. But yeah, Nyx is not a best new character. Easy cut.
Yep. Over and done with. Yeah. Now tell me who any of these fucking characters are beyond Veilguard.
Kves is an interesting character, I think, for the Star Wars universe because
shit hair.
No, I think her name's Kay. But she that's really poor for me. Yeah.
That wasn't very good.
Listen, it's day 3. You can't expect the primo material at this point. I'm barely alive.
Saving it.
Yeah. What I would say about KVS is that, Mick, one of the things I've taken on board from you over the years of doing games and stuff and just knowing you is that one thing you're sick of is that Star Wars keeps going at the same shit, basically, over and over again.
Yeah. That's where I lost it, yeah.
KVS is kind of different in that, she's not a Jedi. She's not superpowered, because that's one thing that these games, even Star Wars Jedi, you might start out without powers or whatever, but by the end of it, you're a badass and dual wielding and force pushing people into spikes or whatever. No, they're never spikes. It's Disney, but you know what I mean. The power fantasy of Star Wars being a Sith, either whether it's a Sith or a Jedi.
Yeah.
KVS is interesting because she's none of those things.
She's a scoundrel.
She's a scoundrel. She's doing odd jobs and playing gangs off one another. And I think in that game, she is probably one of the standout elements. She's an interesting character, quite well rounded, interesting. Nothing about her personality is slammed in your face. It's all there, subtext. And I think that, again, maybe unexpectedly so for a Ubisoft title, but it is more about subtext than, anything else, and I think that's cool. I don't think she makes the list even, but I did want to give it a shout because that game does a lot wrong, does a lot right, but one of the things I think it gets really right, spot on, is Cave S. It's just not possible that it's going to go anywhere near some of these other characters. They're just too strong. But it's not even in any other year thing. I just wanted to give her a shout out, so I've done that, and I can remove her from the list.
Yeah. Well, continuing to explain people, can I ask who Boom Boom is?
Okay. Well, I was hoping that would stay longer for the lols and the bants, Lyle, but Boom Boom is
sorry.
Shit, what animal is he? Gerbil?
It's hamster.
He's a hamster. He's a hamster. So in Beyond Galaxy Land, you end up in Galaxy Land, in the far away space land of Galaxy Land, and Boom Boom is your pet hamster that also somehow gets sucked into that area with you, and via the medium of space magic technology, he's turned into like a more humanoid version, and all he says is Boom Boom. And that's all he says. He just follows you around as a party member, and he's Boom Boom, and he shoots his gun. And as the game progresses, he starts to learn more human language, and it's really well done and comic. In like it's a great comic foil to be. It's one of those almost a traditional old school sitcom thing where he can only say one thing, so it's like whenever there's someone with a joke, you're like Boom Boom, Boom Boom. And that's it. That's the joke. It lands really well. But yeah, okay.
That does sound like a bit of my sort of character, though. I'm a bit upset.
It's like Groot.
It's like a Groot, yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine him going, "What is this thing you humans call love?" Do you know what I mean?
It's Boom Boom.
Boom Boom.
The Boom Boom.
Someone else cut one.
Okay. Heismay. Because I haven't played Metaphor, so I'm asking. Heismay.
I really like Heismay. Heismay is a weird little mouse creature. The race I forget its name of, but like all other races that aren't like the normal race in Metaphor Fantasio, he's fucking hated. But he's like a disgraced like member of like the Royal Guard who ends up living inside like a den of desert worms because he's been branded like a murderer of children or something. But he has like a really ridiculously tragic backstory and is like has got like a full-on
by the way, Ujif tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Ujif, thank you.
And what is it? So it sounds like a bit of a Reaper Cheap.
Sorry, what?
Reaper Cheap. Reaper Cheap. Voyage of the Dawn Treader, the mouse in.
Sure.
No,
never mind.
Mate, I don't even know. I know what you're referencing because I know what Voyage of the Dawn Treader is.
Pirate mouse.
Lyle,
okay.
Is it just me, or are they suddenly not speaking in English anymore?
No,
Yes,
it's not
Lewis.
just you.
Okay.
Chronicles of Narnia.
Yes.
Oh, I know what that is. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. No, that's not.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's book 2.
Oh,
That
there's
is
more.
book 2.
Yes, there's 7.
Loads of them.
What's the first one like? The dog, the broom, and the toilet.
No, the grandfather or nephew or something. Something like that.
Magician's Nephew.
Magician's nephew. That's
That
it.
sounds like a euphemism for a fanny.
Magician's nephew. No, we're not doing this. But I think number 5 is the Voyage of the Dawn Treader.
Yes.
I nearly pulled you into that. Then I nearly got you.
That
Mate, in my head, I've got them all now.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I nearly. Oh, right, sorry. What were we talking about? I've forgotten now.
Anyway, sorry,
Eugene.
Lyle. I was just.
Sorry, Lyle.
Yeah,
I thought people were more learned.
He's my favourite. See, I'm not more learned, okay?
I never claimed to be more learned.
No.
Sorry.
Definitely not. So yeah, Heismay was like my favourite Metaphor character. I just thought he had an unexpected tragic backstory and was very nice to get to know. And I thought he was very charming. And I liked that he was a weird little mouse guy. And he was very old-fashioned Knights of the Round Table kind of thing. And because you never quite know what you're going to get with a character in Metaphor, as we discussed with the purple villain.
The trouble, I've not said this yet, but I regret what I'm about to say because Mick's here.
Okay, good.
If you'd have maybe suggested your favourite character was the lady with the third eye,
oh yeah,
I might have been a bit more on board. I really liked her character. Can't tell you the name. I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's probably not happening this year.
Yes. Yufa. Man's memory's strong.
I know. Beating all of us.
It's one of the maths things.
For me, it's a cut. I don't disagree. I have a broader issue with the character development in Metaphor because I feel like I feel like the way it's executed, like the some of the subject matters that they do, and Heismay's in particular, is quite dark, and some of the other character stuff is quite heavy hitting as well. But I feel like the sort of short, sharp, episodic nature of them exploring the next part of it never gives any part of it room to breathe and sort of make give it kind of some dramatic space to explore those themes. And that's what I really struggled with, because I was like, I should really care about some of. We won't spoil the Heismay stuff, but the journey that he goes on, and the that relates to his background, and the fact that he's been falsely accused and stuff, and then all his family and stuff. But I just feel like some of it's very transactional. Is too cold a word to describe it, but it's not given the emotional kind of credibility that some scenes in like a Dragon Infinite Wealth are, because it's just given more time. And that's a shame, because, like, say, some of the themes of some of the characters Heismay included are really meaty topics that you could spend a lot of time talking about.
By the time you get to the as you just said, meaty stuff of Heismay's story, I feel like you have absolutely gotten into the rhythm of the game as a whole, as to how it mechanically works and how the rhythm changes from this to that to that. And so, like, there are elements of it where I don't know, maybe it's just me, but there are certain characters that I would found myself, I know I had to do that because I wanted to upgrade and progress their characters in that way, but I would be buttoning through the text a bit quicker than, say, other characters. I think that's a problem with the game on the larger whole. I do like Heismay. I think he's one of the more enjoyable characters, and I do particularly like his voice acting and how you look at him and he's like a cute little mouse with big ears, but he's like, I'm an English gentleman, actually. I defend thy ladies' honour. That's not really what he sounds like. It's a bad impression, but you know, it's
kind of the same sort of thing.
It's kind of that, but
I can't be as austere and serious sounding as Heismay is. It's just not something in my vocabulary. But like,
no, that's fine. Yeah, I think it's fair to be a cut. I think I really like him. I think in general, sort of like what Chris said, is that like Metaphor doesn't quite do the slower paced thing that Persona does, where you get to know everyone sort of as you're doing your daily life stuff, because it's very much a globe trotting rush to do the next thing, get in a dungeon. Like, it's more frantically paced. I think that works to its benefit in a lot of ways as a game as a whole, but compared to Persona, but in other ways, not quite so much. And I think that's fair. Yeah.
Okay, I'll cut that one. Then we're down to, let me just check, 10. So 5 to go.
5 games.
5 to go. 5. 1 from each. We're done.
I think Manfred has to go because he's not.
Why?
He's my favourite.
Why is an NPC? Why can NPC not make this list?
I don't think Manfred's interested. He's just funny, and
it all comes really late in Emmerich's
It does.
story.
So that I will accept as a point.
Like, he's very much like Nyx or someone, in that he's like a funny little foil to go, oh, what do you think, Manfred?
For most of it, yeah.
And it's very late in his story that it becomes more meaningful, and that is about Emmerich as much as it is Manfred.
I will. Yeah, no, I was about to say the same thing. Obviously, because of the nature of, and again, I'm trying not to spoil stuff, right? But because of the nature of what Manfred is, like, you learn, you build, I guess, a fondness for him through Emmerich, because he's telling you about Manfred and what the journey that they've gone on together. I genuinely care. I'm not going to spoil the moment, but we all know what I'm talking
with you,
about.
But also, don't forget, you can make a choice.
Yeah, no, I know, and I genuinely cared about
made.
that choice, and the choice that actually goes against Emmerich. You know, it actually goes against his wants and needs, and so, like, listen. I think it's amazing how much it made me care about what could be passed off as a comical side character, and I think he, not sure of the correct sort of pronoun there, but the game made me care about him.
I agree.
Yeah,
there was an arc there, which.
And I think the levity kind of helps that arc build to a point where you're not really expecting the emotion to hit you.
Yes, no, 100%. Yeah, it's less of those where, like, you invest in a character for 30 hours and they get a payoff. It's not that. It's more of a.
No, but he does steal every scene he's in.
Yeah,
Absolutely
yeah. When you get
steals
the side, you get the optional things with the characters, and he's in it. He's always the star of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, there are other characters on this list which drive entire games. So I feel like
that's
in that
my
sense,
main issue with it. I'm not slandering Manfred, but I just because, like I say, I think he steals every scene he's in. I'm same as you. Really did care, and I'm like, when they go, I don't really want to spoil at this point, But like when they go a certain way with him,
if 3 of you are saying to cut him, you don't need to spoil the point.
I'm not saying to cut him.
Oh, okay, sorry.
In hell.
I suggested it, but I'm not so sure.
Do we maybe park it just for now? See how we're feeling at sort of like.
I think I'd
left.
sooner keep him than Lucanis.
I think I would, and
I didn't think so, but now hearing you talk about him, I've well, actually, I think I do.
Yeah,
agree.
I think Lucanis has some interesting bits, like his romance stuff's really interesting. If you romance him, you're in for a quiet time till the end, according to my wife. But his from a romance point of view, he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. So when he tries to romance Nev, it's quite endearing in the sense that given his confident persona over here, it's like in terms of an assassin, but not.
Do you find him a little one note? Sometimes, like I like his character, but there's elements of him where he's just. It feels a little out of step because he's constantly basically going, I said I'd do the mission, instead of just going, oh yeah, I like you guys and I want to... Because, like, also, so there's a big choice in that game about whether you have to choose between two areas that you save, essentially.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't go with Lucanis. You didn't. You didn't you?
Yeah.
What about you, Mick? What did you do? What did you do, Lyle?
I didn't.
So you went with what's it called? Old Town? No, what the hell's it called?
Treviso and Dogtown.
Dogtown. So you went Dogtown. So after you choose Dogtown, he hardens. Like the same happens if you go to. I presume if you go to Travalis, the Neve hardens.
Nev, yes.
So, Nev. Anyway, I really like the character interactions in this game. I think that's what I like about BioWare games generally. I enjoy the narratives and the stories that are built within the characters as you play and choose and make your choices.
Yeah.
The Lucanis stuff ended up feeling slightly gamified and transactional, by which it just felt odd. They're so pissed off with you, but what they're annoyed at you for doing in terms of the crows is that you chose your home instead of theirs. This is a weird thing. And then on top of that, he just kind of eventually goes, yeah, all right, I'll forgive you in the end because you did this.
This is the thing, right? And it's whether that's the reason or not, but I had that with Nev, and she did not stop plopping on about it for the entire of the game that I'd chosen that. That's fine, right? Whatever. Like, so I guess you could argue that you can't have either of them because you could make a different decision which changes their character.
But you start the game with Nev. Like, she's there at the start of your game. So I feel
my
like
character was a crow, was an Antivan crow as well. So Lucanis really fucking hated.
Oh well, that's
I was an Antivan crow, so I protected the crows.
I was a
and also,
dragon.
Quite frankly, I thought that Mimrathus might have a couple of mages that could deal with the problem, but apparently, fucking not.
I was trying to nail Nev though.
They were happy to let the scum burn, apparently. But anyway, I'm getting into.
But what I'm saying is that Nev feels earned because she's like the start of the game. You meet her, she's part of your party straight away. She's important to the story from the minute you meet her, whereas Lucanis comes along a bit later, not much later, but I felt if she'd have earned the right of that importance, whereas Lucanis, it just seems like it just seems so transactional to me, and it just, and I'm really nitpicking because there's 10 on this list, I feel like and I don't want to be full of Dragon Age characters.
It's different arcs, like his initial kind of backstory and all that he's been through is a lot more severe than someone like Nev's with the Ossuary and stuff. And obviously his whole shtick with the demon and stuff.
Sorry, Chris, but I just keep thinking your missus is going to like burst in the door, kick the door down, and go, "You're talking about Dragon Age?"
Yeah, no, I know. Keep it on the down low. Yeah. I like the bit with Lucanis when, let's just say, he doesn't do what he wants to do in the main story and beats himself up for it. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
that's quite, that's a nice arc, and obviously then it goes towards the end. But I feel like there's loads of interesting stuff at the beginning, and actually some of the Crow stuff generally is good, but that's not necessarily because of Lucanus himself. So I'm talking myself into cutting Lucanus.
Well, same.
I think
I really like him, but I
Lucanus
feel like he wants to be more. It's like he's supposed to be this really complex character, but he almost feels overwritten.
I just think he's so fucking cool. That was
He is cool,
that
and they
would
should
be
He
the
is
sell that
cool.
jacket.
Yes.
That
Like
jacket
and he likes
is
coffee,
alone,
which I like.
Yeah.
Yeah, his introduction alone is so fucking cool.
That,
Yeah,
and
it
that
is-
I think is his high point. I think that mission when you meet him
But
is the
then
high
I
point
would
of his
say-
character.
That's what I'm saying.
I wouldn't argue that either.
It's
I would
front
say that,
loaded.
yeah.
Whereas someone like Emmerich, it builds over time.
Emmerich's one of those where I just liked him from the minute I met him, and he just seems.
Yeah. See, I didn't like Emmerich as much, but then it's more of I'm a spectacle guy, so I was like straight away, Lucanus, he's in my party all the time. You know what I mean? It's like
The other thing I would say about Emmerich is that I feel like he is actually a bit more important to the story because of what he does and who he is and how he's like Lucanus.
I think there's more to his character. There's more to the way he's written a lot. Like a lot of people have said about this game, you believe it was written by a lot of different people. Like every character feels like it was written by somebody else. And I think Emmerich's character is there's a lot more subtlety to the character.
There is,
that's
than there is to Lucanus. I think Lucanus is a great character. He's a lot of fun. I think I didn't immediately warm to Emmerich. I didn't use him an awful lot in my party, even though he was quite cool. I didn't. You see, I went with the others, but I did like him, but I wouldn't have put him in my estimations. He wasn't above really any of the other characters. I really liked Nev, and I liked the conversations with Nev, and
I like his kind of like.
Neve.
Really try not to spoil stuff because it's not needed to, but I wasn't expecting his major hang up at all, which you learn as you kind of do more story with him, because that's a really weird hang up for someone in his line of
yes,
work.
exactly. Yeah, that is actually that's quite an interesting.
And that was
point.
a really kind of like kind of tender moment in the sense of like him being very vulnerable, that I just wasn't expecting it. Like it just wasn't. And then for it to manifest with the whole kind of Manfred thing, which I'm trying to skirt around it, but we all know what I'm talking about. I just and how that builds with his own faction.
Revelation.
I'm talking out of getting rid of Lucanus, and
I think what stands up to what you've said there as well, Chris, is that like if you go to any of the other areas in the game, like say Treviso, where Lucanus is from, you could probably remember and discuss some of the other characters from and the arcs and what goes on in their lives there. Whereas Emmerich, I feel like you go to him and there's those two people just stood there giving you quests over and over again.
In many ways,
it's all about him.
In many ways, the fact that you've got Viago, Ilario, and Taya and stuff in the Antivan Crows, it almost takes a bit of it away from Lucanus, because actually the whole Antivan Crow and Treviso stuff that goes on, and all the stuff with the Antam as well, right?
Yeah.
All of that makes the Treviso. I really love the Treviso stuff and the Antivan Crow stories, but then you go, well, it's not all about Lucanus, which is fine, but whereas, like you say, the Mormwatch stuff and all the poignant stuff that you do in the garden and stuff, that's all through him and who he is as a person. And I think that hits a lot hard. Now, whether you like that because it's a bit more, I guess, delicate for you, Mick, maybe it's too delicate for you, but I thought it was really good.
We need to decide, first of all,
I think if you're cutting one of these, you probably cut Lucanus. But
are we cutting one of these, or do we feel strongly about all of these, then that the three of them can make a five?
I don't think Lucanus makes the top 5. I think he's a cool character. Okay. But he is kind of a lot of style over substance.
I just think they try and make him complex, but what they actually do is make it complicated. What his personality
Well, this is what I mean, because they managed to make Emmerich complex with one revelation quite early on in his story.
I feel like, if I'm honest, they set him up as complex, and then they don't build on it.
No, then they make him about coffee and revenge.
Yeah, and a job. Whereas actually,
that's what I mean. That's what kind of bugs me. Is he's just constantly going on to paraphrase you, he's plopping on about his job, and it's like just admit it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think he's cool. He's definitely cool, and what he does in the main story is cool.
He's a vulnerable idiot, basically. But yeah. So are we cutting Lucanus?
I would.
We're down
and I would
to
hold
9.
on to Emmerich for now. And I kind of don't know whether Manfred and Emmerich should go together.
They can't. They are individual. Because they have to be separate characters. We can't put them together.
But the individuality comes later. Like for so much of the game, Manfred is just
character,
kind of,
isn't it? It's individual. It has to be.
I guess. Yeah.
Otherwise, if you're saying that, then really Red McWraith and Ante Duarte should be together as well.
Well, we've done that before. It's not like
we had two separate placings for the
they were
we've never actually done 2 of them. We've had 2 separate. It has to be.
Do we talk about Infinite Wealth now?
Yeah, I think we have to because I think only one of these makes it personally.
Interesting to see which one you think.
Well, I think it's Tomizawa. I think it's Tomizawa.
Okay.
Again, I think he's there from not the start of the game. It's actually interesting when you think about how much has gone on before you even get to that part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's the character with probably the most. Though he's Chitosi's pretty cool.
The thing it's really interesting. All 3 of these characters have arcs, and the I guess the phasing of them are all very different. So Tomizawa's arc is very front loaded in the game. Yeah. Chitose's happens near the middle, and Yamai's happens near the end, which is lovely from a narration point of view because something's always happening. But I felt like of the 3, in terms of an arc that I cared least about from a character development point of view, I think Chitose is the weakest because I'm not going to spoil it.
But they kind of spend too long flip flopping with her. Like bluffing and double bluffing, it's like
but also
once too many times.
I feel like never building like tension or intrigue with it. Just
and
sort
like
of
from the very first moment with her, you kind of know, and it's like the game's kind of a little bit underestimating the player intelligence early on, like to take that long to get her even into your party, and then I do think they flip flop her and like bluff and double bluff too much to the point where it's like. Kind of dumb, like great character, love her. Kind of always had her in my party when I could, but it also felt a bit like her story isn't quite as interesting as you think it is, and you're spending too much time trying to trick the player rather than just telling the story. So I would be comfortable deleting her straight away.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I also don't think Yamai's there for me because
I just so like for me. The reason why, because I added him, right? Yeah. So I know you added Tomizawa and Chitose. So for me, I just think it's a really interesting arc of someone because where it goes at the start is he's a cunt, right? And he's just trying to do some bad shit to get in with bad people and probably get paid or whatever, right? And so he's like an antagonist against the group for the early game, and he's just a prick, right? And obviously. Tomizawa works for him at the very start of the game, and he leaves him and he leaves his clan and whatever. But then again, I'm trying not to spoil too much, but he sort of has a change of heart. It looks like, but you're never quite sure why or anything like that.
It's very late when he properly.
But it's very late when you realise why. That's the point. So there's a portion in the middle of the game where you're like, one, I don't know if I trust this guy. Is it going to turn around and him, completely screw on you and do a Chitose? Am I just going to get Ichiban is the most liking person and trusting person you've ever met. If you say, I promise you, I won't betray you, he'll just trust you. So, and obviously he gets betrayed various points. You keep thinking that's going to happen again, and it doesn't, and it feels a bit weird because you're like, oh, is it just kind of just convenience that this guy is helping them because it helps the story tell itself kind of thing? But then it does sort of explain itself, and then when you look back at okay, so it's, again, I'm trying not to spoil it, but okay, it's Ichiban's relationship with that character that he's discovering. That's why he's being soft on him, because he's got the relationship with this person, which I now understand, and that's quite tragic and sad. And I just thought he went from horrendous, unlikable cunt, I can't wait to murder, to I actually really like this character, got a lot of respect for him, and wish he was now part of my party, but won't ever be. And don't get that many arcs, you know, from that. So I added him because I felt like, you know, Tommy has a very small period of time where he's a cunt at the very, very start. And then for the rest of the game, I think he's in your party as this nice
but he
character.
is, but he's never quite, it takes quite a long time to be like fully on board because the reason I think I identified with this character, well, not identified, but liked him so much is that he is not a bastard. He just has always been treated like he's the bastard. He's the shit on the floor of the world that keeps getting stopped on. So he can't see Ichiban and understand. No, he really is what you see. Ichiban is. There's a Manic Street Preacher song called "No Surface All Feeling," and you meet people that are like that, and you meet people that are all surface, no feeling. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He finds it really difficult to understand that Ichiban is what you see him to be. There's no pretense, there's no misunderstanding. That he's honest. He really, like you said, if you say I won't betray you, he goes, okay.
Yeah.
He believes you. He believes in the good of people. And Tomizawa's never had someone like that, and I think he is such a strong shout out because it tells that story of like, do you know what? There are people like that. He is someone like that. You can be in that person's life. You can have that, and I think it takes a while to get there. Whereas Yamai, I agree with everything you said. I just, on balance, given that two people here haven't played it, I know what's on Chris's list, and I know I would say that one of them makes it. But if you want to park him or vote, well, that's fine too.
No, I really like Tommy's high point, should we say? But it comes quite early on, and I kind of wish there was another one. And that's the only thing for me. So when you're thinking of like an arc,
but you can't dress him in a hula outfit and have him be like the.
No, but you know what I mean in terms of the story. Like they kind of give him a really powerful moment. You're like, yeah, Tommy, go. You know.
But also, there are a lot more characters in this game than I think you realise when you start playing it. Like you think it's going to be like X amount, and then it just keeps giving you more, and you're like, but we're near the end. What do you mean? And then you realise you're not near the end. So I think they have to, and that's probably why, like you say, Tomizawa's the middle bit, first bit. And why Chitozi gets hers in the middle and a bit towards the end, and Yamai gets his, because they've all got to have their. I mean, these are just the party members of Ichiban we're talking about. Well,
he's not even a party member, really.
No, but I mean the Hawaii side of the, which I'm not going to go.
Yeah, because the others aren't new. That's, I guess, the saving grace.
That's fair. That's a fair point. The question, I guess, is what do you want to do? What do you? Because like the other two aren't being quiet because they don't care. They haven't played. They probably wouldn't have met much of Yamai. Lyle they might have seen a bit of him at the start, but I don't know.
Can't remember.
He's the guy with the crowbar.
Crowbar.
Okay, no, I do remember.
Over his suit.
But like, unless you.
I did not. Yeah, I assumed his role was not this.
it's a lot more to it, but like what I would say is, for me, he is the studio's attempt at, I think, creating a new. Fucking hell, I said his name in one of the other days. Kiryu's nemesis that I've completely spaced on the name of. The Pirate Yakuza game that's out next year. What's wrong with me? Majima. Yeah, I feel like he's their new attempt at making, not necessarily a foil, but another big character with depth that isn't the main character. Now I'm talking myself round. I
think we cut Chitose. That's progress.
Yeah, that's gone. We got it.
What about Kaz?
Don't know anything about Kaz.
No, me neither.
Right.
Main protagonist.
Kaz still wakes the deep.
The main protagonist, who you play as and still wakes the deep. Kaz is, just to set my stall out, the entirety of what I'm fighting for in this category. My personal number one, and a character that I'm fairly confident all four of you. No, there's three of you and me. There's four of us total. I know I like him. Also think you'd really like him. That's where I'm going.
Oh, him. Okay.
Yes. Kaz, he's the main character, and basically his sort of like early bits of story that you find out about him is he's gone to work on an oil rig as an electrician because he got in a bar fight because someone was offending his wife down the pub, and his mate who worked at the oil rig was like, well, if you go to this oil rig out in the middle of nowhere, you'll maybe be able to dodge the trouble and it'll save your family and you won't have to worry about like all these issues you have. So that's his whole purpose for going to the oil rig, where in Still Wakes the Deep, a game that is known as a horror game, shit goes down. So it's not particularly fortunate that he's there, but he is a Scottish man who swears just the amount you would want anyone Scottish to swear in a video game, like who is just having a shit time and just continues to have a shit time. He has a really you find out more and more about his backstory as you go, and as he's put in more and more peril, and he's just this he's such a family man. The only reason he's in this mess is that he got his temper, got the better of him when someone was being fucking horrible about his wife, who he loves to death, and because of that, he's trying to find a way to get around his problems by going to an oil rig, which he already wasn't particularly happy about, and it goes fucking horribly wrong. He's so likable by everyone on the fucking oil rig seems to like him. Getting to chat with people and have these little interactions, it just feels so real, this real community of just odd folk who have decided to make their life be. They go and stay on an oil rig for months and months at a time, and he's got such a lot of character. He says cunt more than anyone else on this list, I'm pretty certain. And I just I was really impressed with his writing. What's that, sorry?
It's a bold claim against Victor Schultzky. Well, I don't think he says it actually that much.
Probably reads cunt quite a lot.
Yeah.
Okay,
look, I can I have an outline in my head of where this might be going, but we need to chat about Banishers and we need to chat about the Thaumaturge. Should we chat about Red McWraith and Antair Duarte? Not as separate as two characters. Sorry, not as one character, as two, because I think one is one of the strongest entries.
I think Red.
One of the
I
strongest.
think Red is a lot stronger. Well,
Red's the main character, so has more screen time, more airtime.
And you do play more as Red because obviously the storyline of Banishers. I don't think it's a spoiler to say what happens initially. But there's a reason why Red is the main character. But he's also just...
Although good bait and switch at the start of the game. Not what I was expecting from the trailers. I'm like, am I playing the wrong game? And good bait and switch. But sorry, Red McWraith.
I just think he's just such a balanced character. He's a video game protagonist, so obviously he's a good fighter, and then he does... I mean, a lot of that game is player choice, so you do impose a lot of yourself on him in terms of
but I
the
think
choices
that's a
you
massive net positive because, as you said, he's a well-rounded character, and I would say that too, despite the fact that your experience and mine are vastly different of the story of that game.
Yeah.
That is an impressive feat to design a character that can go so many different ways.
Yeah, and I always appreciate a character where there's a lot of player choice behind the character, but the character maintains a personality.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? We saw it with sort of Geralt in the Witcher games, or particularly in the Witcher 3, where the character, doesn't matter what you do, the character
Geralt's still Geralt, but you can still...
And I think Red does the same thing. And I mean, and I know games like Dragon Age do that to a certain extent, but then they do a thing with the Dragon Age game, Mass Effect's a BioWare thing, where the character kind of is it's a lot softer of a character. There's a lot less. There's a lot fewer defined edges in the first place. So when you impose yourself on them, it doesn't. Whereas I feel like with a character like Red, he's got a code. He's got a set of morals that he's gonna. And when you make choices, because you have to make the choice several times whether you stick to the vow, that main vow that they have, without spoiling the story, because we'll discuss it another time. But when you make those choices and you decide whether you're going to stick to the vow or break the vow, he kind of becomes you can feel his conflict if you do something that is against what his character is established to be, which I think is, it's not like in a Dragon Age game or something where you just make the main character talk like a bastard all of a sudden and everyone just deals with it. And then
it's not Renegade and Paragon, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
No,
I think it's just they did a really good job where they can make you make tough choices, but he doesn't when you make it. I stuck very much to the good choices, but I've seen gameplay of the bad choices, say, or the negative choices, and he's conflicted over it. It's not just we did this thing and now we're evil. Now we've flipped a renegade switch and the character's getting evil and he grows horns and shit. It feels like a character is conflicted about making the bad choice, and you feel punished by that indirectly, which I think is really clever writing.
I like that. What I like about it is that they address it, and it's kind of between both of them in conversations. Though, is that there isn't a good or bad choice thrust down your throat. What choice you make gets justified through the writing of the characters, so that it feels like your journey. It's not like, if you've just happened to have chosen the one that the devs didn't want you to choose, you're going to get told off for the next, and the story's not going to make sense for the next 20 hours because you just happen to make the wrong decisions. It's actually, there's kind of conversations that happen where they question, argue, resolve, whatever, in an organic way. Because I played it completely opposite to you, Mick, and Adam played it shite hybrid of the pair of us. So we've kind of, between us, seen the breadth of what this game has to offer from a character and a story point of view. I'm not going to ruin the story part of it.
That's tomorrow.
But yeah, that's tomorrow. But I think the voice acting of Red McWraith in particular is brilliant and very believable. But like you say, retains his own character, his own backstory, his own history, and a lot of that comes out in the dialogue that you have with various side characters, not just Antea. He'll draw on previous, battle experience and commentary and stuff.
I love how much world building there is in the conversations.
But not just in the world that you live in.
Yeah.
But where he's been in the past and
where
other characters have crossed paths or been in same battles or whatever. Like, I think it's very believable for a very unbelievable situation, if you know what I mean.
And the delivery is, I cannot remember the actor's Rory. No, it's Rory McWraith, isn't it? That's his name, Rory McWraith.
Yeah,
I can't remember the actor's name, but he does such a fucking incredible job.
Yeah.
I would argue that you could say without the Antea character to bounce off, that character would be lessened, because there is a great deal of chemistry and it is a well-written couple.
I think particularly towards the end of the story, the character of Antea is very strong, and the whole game wouldn't work if there was two of them, right? But I think it's good and right that Red is a stronger character overall, given it's the one that you kind of play as for 95%. But I do think the character of Antea, the interactions, and some certain story beats where, for want of a better phrase, they have Barneys with each other because of certain story things that happen, and that's all I need to say. They're just so human, if you know what I mean. They're very believable when they have those Barneys, and they dissolve quickly, but they feel like a couple. Do you know what I mean? Like,
the chemistry is superb.
It's not a perfect couple for 30 hours or however long this game took me, but it's a believable couple, and that lands the game.
Yeah, and there's the one game this year out of all the games I've played that more or less, it didn't quite, but I was choked up. It nearly got me at the end, and it was all down to the characterization. And I'd say 70% of that is Red McWraith.
I tell you where I sit right now, honestly, and I'm going to put this out there. I think if you cut Yamai, if you cut Antea, and if you cut Manfred, you have 5, all from different games. That is a fantastic representation of the games we've enjoyed, characters and story-wise, this year, between the 5 of us. Chris White obviously not here. I know we haven't talked about Victor Shulsky. We will obviously, but I do think you literally have a brilliant cross-section of what we've loved this year. Then you have one
of the ones I would argue for. I'm happy that Antea is cut of the 2.
I just think then you have one from Banishes, you have one from Like a Dragon, you have one from the Thaumaturge, Still Wakes the Deep, Makes It from Lars and Passion of Speech, and you have a Veilguard character. I think you have a brilliant cross-section. But tell me if I'm wrong.
I mean, you're not wrong if everyone else agrees with you. I think Antea's more than good enough to be in a top 5. Personally. Okay, so... But again... Right, I have to caveat this, and it's annoying, but I have to caveat this from my experience of that game. And I don't know how different yours two were, but my experience of that game...
The characters aren't what changed.
No, if there's going to be any game that has 2 characters, I would have them, and I'd have them right next to each other at 1 and 2. There we go.
The only reason I can't argue is because I haven't played enough of I haven't played Still Wakes the Deep. I haven't played enough of the Thaumaturge, and I haven't played enough of Like a Dragon, so I can't. I just can't.
But that's
really
why I'm
argue.
saying I think so. If we do it that way, and that Antea and Red McWraith have to both be there, someone
another game has to come out.
Yeah. And I can see that from both sides. It makes sense if people think that one should have to in there or not. But
we've done it before.
Of all the games, it's difficult to. They are individuals, but it's difficult to say one is and one isn't in this list. I will admit that is. I think Red's amazing, but I do think it's hard to separate the two of them in that respect. Like, of all of these characters.
We haven't discussed Mr. Schultzky, and I don't know where he falls because I've not played enough of it yet. I like him,
I think
but
his
I'm not
character's brilliant. Like, it's difficult. I think he's just... There's so much pliability with his character, with the dialogue options. You really can shape him and the world around you by the choices. They're not like...
And the game encourages it as well.
Yeah, but I don't mean in a kind of... If you say this, someone will die. That sort of thing, like in a Veilgarb way. I mean, it just... You shape his personality, which impacts the immediate world around you. Not on this like grand scale of like, oh well, if you do this, the such and such person will die, or this country will cease to be. It's more of a dynamic of the world he lives in being shaped, and I think it's really well done. And I will admit, it's not immediately obvious that's what's happening in this game, because I played it on PC to about a little way into Act 1, and it was only when playing it on PS5 that I properly got into it and put 20 hours in over less than a week that I found myself like understanding why he was even on this list. He's just... the dialogue choices are so... There's some really funny ones as well. Like, he's just such a well-written character. And like, his voice act is terrific and his performance is terrific. It's just, yeah, he makes the list for me.
Yeah, I think there's lots going on with him, like the relationship with his father, which forms a large part of the early part of the story, and uncovering that. The relationship he has with Rasputin and how that changes or can change. I'm not going to spoil any more of that.
His sister.
The sister. The relationship he has with Thaumaturgy as well, and what that means to him as a person, the relationship he has and had with his best mate. There's so much going on. It's just so not one note, and I wasn't expecting it.
No, I really wasn't.
I really
you almost made it into a joke because of the Turge thing.
Yeah, I know. It's my own fault.
Didn't. You sort of nearly made me like, fuck this. You know what I mean? Not because of you.
Yeah, because I added him to. It was me that put him on it.
It was only replaying it, and I'm like, this is actually. Why did I not get this? And I think maybe it's because it was quite rough on PC pre-release, wasn't it? It was janky. It was just not performance. So playing on PS5, like, it is a lot more stable. So I just felt like I was more. And also, there's a difference between sitting at a computer and sitting comfortably and playing a bit on Portal and blah blah blah. But I really, really fucking love this game, and it's such a. Do we still call things a dark horse? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those you just don't expect it. I really didn't expect to feel this game as much as I feel this game. And him in particular. He's the core.
We've got to cut 3 characters.
I'm wondering, can I offer something? Can I offer 3 cuts and then people tell me how absolutely mad I am, mainly Adam? Right? Because I think the other 2 will like what I'm about to say. If I offer up cutting Manfred and both Like a Dragon characters, and that's our 5 that we then argue about. How do people feel about? So it'll be.
I feel like did Lyle have strong feelings about Manfred over Emmerich earlier?
I kind of think
that.
I mean, I had strong feelings about Manfred in general. To be honest, I think as much as I like Manfred, with how strong all the characters are here, and how much Emmerich ties into all that anyway, and is a lot of the reason why the Manfred stuff's so good as well. Like, I'm happy to lose Manfred at this point. I think he was worth parking earlier on, but it's at the same, like,
park your Manfred.
Park your Manfred.
I think of all the last couple of shows, Lyle has has offered some quite compelling arguments for things, and then they've not stuck around. And I think the Kaz argument I think that character deserves to be on the list.
Well, look, I think we can cut Yamai because I've been suggesting that, and Chris has now agreed to that. So we can cut Yamai, yes.
I think we can cut Manfred as well.
We can cut Manfred for the same reasons.
Oh yeah.
Well, hang on.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying I
thought you just suggested it.
Well, I suggested cutting Tomizawa as well,
Right,
but you
the
appear to have
issue
ignored
with
that
cutting
part
Tomizawa is that if you cut that, you cut Chris White's number 1.
Really?
Yes, that's why I was like. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't. It can't, but that
blows my mind. Okay.
He's not my number 1. I'll tell you that now. He's not my number 1.
I don't hate him. To be really clear, I don't think he's a bad character at all. I'm just that's surprising.
I agree. But
I think if Manfred goes, I think Antea has to, because
is Manfred going? Let's just have a.
Manfred's going.
Right,
for me, Manfred goes.
We have one to cut here.
And if everybody so Chris White's number 1. He's not here, but his number 1 is Tomizawa. My number 1 is
number
Red
2
McWraith.
is Red McWraith.
Right, so Red McWraith is a lock.
His
right?
number 3.
Red McWraith is a lock at number 1, right?
I think that's probably it.
I agree, yeah, but
yes.
I mean, it's all of ours number 1 apart from Chris and Lyle, and Lyle can appreciate it.
Yeah.
Get this right now. Hang on. Oh no, right.
1, 1, 1, 2, wherever Lyle was 12 or wherever.
So his number 3 is Victor Shulsky.
It sounds like. Yeah.
His number 4 is
I
Antea
don't
Duarte.
know. I think. Hang on a minute. I think Victor Shulsky goes further back.
Yeah, no, I agree.
No,
I'm telling you what Chris's is.
Oh, I see. Sorry.
I'm telling you, Chris White. He's not here, so his number 1 is Tomizawa.
Sorry.
But I think Tomizawa is number 5 based on the temperature of the room, plus Chris's number 1 space.
It sounds to me like the cut then has to be Emmerich.
It's Emmerich or Kaz.
Yeah.
There's this
But
kind
Kaz,
of no.
I guess the only thing that's separating Kaz and Tomizawa, because they're both people's number 1s, is that you have something for Tomizawa, whereas I didn't.
Right.
Well, I tell you that the elephant here. The problem is that the only person I think who's it's played Kaz is Lyle.
Yeah.
And I can't fight for him. I can't because I don't know if he's on Chris's list.
I guess
Chris reviewed the game. Does Kaz feature on Chris's list?
No.
It didn't sound like it.
I can give you his list. Hang on. So 1 is Tomizawa, 2 is Red McWraith, 3 is Victor, number 4 is Antea Duarte, and number 5 is Kay Vess from Outlaws.
I think even if we voted at this point, we'd probably lose Kaz.
Just tear my heart out now. Let's do it.
I
Come
tried
on.
not to, Lyle.
You did try.
I did try not to. Even offered Antea Duarte as sacrifice, but she's kind of too entwined with Red.
And she's a great character. It's not just Red Part 2. It's
also she's a fucking really good character.
Yeah.
She's kind of the straight man sometimes. She's a foil when she needs to be. I mean, she
can be right bitch sometimes as well, which is what's needed. And
she's got that hardness where Wraith hasn't sometimes as well, which.
Cool. Okay. Cut it. There's too much silence. Cut Kaz.
No, we got to call it. I was going to say, should we vote? There's no point.
There's no point. Just do it.
I don't think so.
Sorry, Lyle. And I genuinely mean that. It's the one time I genuinely do mean that.
Yeah.
The one time.
The first time ever. Landmark moment. Worth it. Yep.
Emmerich's the one now in this top 5 that doesn't look right to me, and I don't know why.
Is it because I liked him? Cut him as well. Why don't you?
Emmerich I fucking love. I think he's fantastic. I adore that man. Everything. I think he's one of those characters. I just couldn't wait to spend more time with him. And like and it's not even just that. Like they even gave him some really badass powers that makes it, because it would be really upsetting if you're like, I love this dude so much, but he's kind of shit in battle. But he's not. He's got like a time stop and stuff, and I love that dude. And once I sort of understood more about the mechanics, he was never at my party. It was always like who I was going for romantically plus Emmerich.
Oh yeah, it was always Harding +1.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time that was Emmerich.
But, once I had got them leveled up enough to
I
the
think
point
that's
where
why I maybe didn't.
No, it's Emmerich and Harding. The rest of you
because I always had Nev. I never felt like I needed.
No, because she had a time stop, didn't you, or something? I can't
Yeah,
remember.
so
Someone
I used
did.
to
Oh,
take
it was
and I was
Belara.
a rogue. I used to take a tanky character to be.
No one's taken Belara, are they?
I quite like Belara, but it's not.
I like Belara, but I used to take the Grey Warden guy.
Can't put her on the list.
I mean, we can do a top 5 Dragon Age.
So look, what's wrong with this? I think the problem with the list is that the hyphen on Emmerich's in the wrong place, and that's what's throwing you off.
Yeah, that is really annoying me. Can we put a space there?
I think that's it. Now you've done it. You fixed it. That's the list.
I'm not against that list.
I think
Emmerich's ace. I love Emmerich.
Is Emmerich anyone's number 1?
On this list currently.
On what's left of the 5,
but I think he is for Lyle,
anyone's
isn't he?
number 1?
He is for Lyle on this list.
On this, I mean, I guess so, but I also, from the little of Banishers I played and then the stuff I sort of watched afterwards, I understand the appreciation for Ed McGrath that, like, I'd like.
The reason,
but if you take those two out of it, would he be the number 1?
Right, the reason I ask is because Tomizawa is Chris White's number 1. So if Emmerich isn't anybody's number 1, should Tomizawa not go higher?
But Tomizawa would be my number 5 on this list. And I love the dude, but like...
And Tomizawa wouldn't be in my top 5.
Yeah, so I think Tomizawa, if anything, is either needs to go down 1 or stay where he is.
Right, okay. So Victor Schultzky, I haven't got an opinion on Tomizawa. Victor Schultzky, I have got an opinion on. And from what little I've played so far with Thaumaturge, I really like his character. Like, I like the way he's written and like the way he's acted.
So are you saying that then?
Yeah.
Sorry, for those not watching, Victor Schultzky to 4th and Tomizawa to 5th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm happy with the number 1 and 2. You guys can fight to the death over 3, 4, 5.
No, that's not how it works. You have to also be in the melee. Is anyone desperately unhappy with that top 5?
No.
No, I love that top 5.
Not really. Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me rephrase that. Is everyone happy with that top 5? I should have led with that.
I am.
Yeah.
I am happy.
Lyle?
Yeah. I know a couple of characters on that.
Lyle would have preferred it be a 6. I mean, I do feel bad that...
I've been telling you to play all those games all year.
I've played a couple of them. I played a bit of most of them.
A lot.
Perfect. Number 6, a Lyle game of some description. What a beautiful addition.
I mean, I'm a bit... I really thought you'd have slipped Anton from Anton Blast on this somewhere, but I suppose he isn't really a well-rounded character. He's just an angry man.
Another plucky squire, isn't he?
Angry man, yeah.
Okay,
no, I mean, Emmerich I like a lot, and he's represented. Red McGrath, clearly a very good character that seems pretty much universally number 1.
I love that Banishers is getting some love this year. I'm really glad we're getting
it. What I often find, right, and this is when I look at like the lists of best characters, what goes through my head quite often is I really want them to be in another game.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like if they make a sequel or a spin-off to Banishers, Veilguard, Thaumaturge, Like a Dragon, I want them to be in it. Like I want more of Red McWraith and Emmerich and Victor Schultzky and Thomas. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean, I'd love some DLC that's just about Emmerich. Do you know what I mean? Like a nice just a 2-hour chunk, where it's like you play as Emmerich even, and like you and Manfred. It's just 2 people in the party.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
They go on vacation.
Well, yeah, they could, but then they get into some hijinks and
they do that camping trip in Ferelden. It's just him and Manfred against the elements.
And it's just the 2 of you in the party, and you've got a mage, and Manfred can be like a warrior with he's have a sword and shield because he's a skeleton. You know, it's just great. Am I locking this in?
Lock it in.
Do it.
5th place for best new character, Tomizawa from Like a Dragon Infinite. In 4th place, Victor Schultzky from The Thaumaturge. In 3rd place, Emmerich from Veilguard, Dragon Age: The Veilguard. In second place, Antea Duarte from Banisher's Ghost of Eden, and the best new character for 2024, and the game I most hope gets a sequel, Red McGrath from Banisher's Ghost of New Eden. There we have it. Tomorrow it is all about story and best moments within those stories and moments of action and whatever. And those are full-on spoilers for tomorrow, for day 4. So just be warned. We've kind of given a clue today, but the reason we do it this way is that you get a clue of the best new characters, which leads you into best story and best moment. So you get an idea of which games you should probably be ready to have spoiled in some way. That's for tomorrow, though. That's for a whole another day with some totally different clothes on, and definitely an actual different day. I can already see Mick adding to stuff for best moments. That's
exciting. There we go.
Destiny 2. It fucking is as well.
No,
that was already on there.
Thank you to
prepare for more Destiny.
Thank you to Chris. Thank you to Lyle. Thank you to Mick and to Chris White for sending us this stuff in. We love you, man. Wish you could have been here for this as well. Everyone else, we'll speak to you tomorrow or whenever you choose to listen. Bye bye for now.
Bye. Trying to do this.
Get out.